Welcome to Grounds for Conversations. I'm Amber Noble. It's difficult to find common ground when we focus on things we disagree about. But if we take a step back, we realize that we all have things to learn. Grounds for Conversations is a podcast where we dive into a conversation about Scripture, looking at the story in its entirety. This is for the believer, the questioner, the invested, and the searching. I invite you to join the conversation. Also, at the end of this podcast, stick around for an extra shot, a conversation where we discuss everything about nothing. Welcome to Grounds for Conversations. I have a very special friend with me today, Katie Frisch. Katie, welcome.
Hi.
I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you.
This is going to be a little bit of a different Grounds for Conversations. Katie, you know that. But for those of you joining us, our friends that listen every time we put one of these out, Katie has such an incredible story, and I felt very strongly that this is something that the world needed to hear, and not because I think anybody needs to feel sorry for her. You don't want people feeling sorry for you.
No, absolutely not.
But I believe that this lady has so much strength and so much courage and so much joy. And so, Katie, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. So, my husband and I got married 10 years ago in November.
Oh, wow. 10 years.
Yes. We were high school sweethearts. But if you ask me, we started dating before he thinks we started dating. So that's always a running joke with us.
Do you realize I met you right after you guys, either y'all were engaged or you were about to get married?
We've been friends a long time.
I know.
Goodness.
I just thought of that right then when you said that. I'm like, wait a minute. I remember
Where does
all
the
that.
time go? Gosh.
Far away.
Yeah,
Far
seriously.
away. I'm getting old and you're
I'm
just
a
getting
thief.
cuter. So, okay, go ahead. Anyway,
okay,
10 years.
So we got married. We had gone to Texas A&M together, got married, or graduated college, got married, moved to Boston, came back to Texas. Drew was a home builder for a company here in Spring, actually. And then we decided that it was time to branch out and do our own thing. That was always the goal, but we wanted to kind of make our mistakes on somebody else's watch before just, doing it all ourselves. So we started building homes. We had Kennedy in 2015, our daughter. And
she's adorable.
She is so funny. I love her.
Who is she like more, you or Drew?
Well, she's really honestly a 50-50 mix.
I love it.
Truly.
I love it.
So funny.
So cute.
Yes. This in 2018, we had been building houses. My brother-in-law passed away.
Mm-hmm.
That was unexpected.
Yeah.
He left behind a water well company and of course his family. And Drew said, "Hey, Shelby, my sister-in-law," he's like, I'll hold on to this company for a minute for you. I'll keep it together. We were thinking, he would run it for a few months, and he ended up really liking it. He was like, "This is cool. I like it." He had worked with Jason before, my brother-in-law. So he decided that would be our new thing. He would run Holly Water Wells. So I finished out the houses that we had built, and that was crazy in itself. And he just took over Holly Water Wells. So he loved it, had big plans for that company, and just really wanted to honor Jason in taking care of Holly Water Wells and creating different facets of that company that Jason's boys could carry on one day if they wanted to.
Right.
I started real estate. I started selling real estate. I had sold it previously for just the homes that we built, but then I really kind of started enjoying it. My mother-in-law called me the reluctant realtor.
Why?
Because I kind of hated it at the beginning.
Which is crazy to me because the homes that you guys designed and your attention to detail is amazing. See, Katie is a fantastic artist.
Thank you.
She creates these beautiful paintings, and she's just like, look at this piece of trash I found, and I put paint on it, and I'm going to sell it for $1 million. It was like, I'll buy it. It's just gorgeous. So
Thank you.
You've got this gift. So that's interesting to me that you were reluctant.
It was stressful for me. Like it was just a lot of stress, and I eventually learned how to handle the stress part of it. Nothing was that big of a deal. I was just making it bigger than it was. And I realized it was kind of fun, and I liked getting paid to do it.
Sure.
That was fun. And so my real estate career kind of kicked off. And then summer of last year, Father's Day weekend, we hopped in the car and went to New Braunfels.
Wait a minute. You've had another baby since then.
Yes. Oh, poor Colin. Forgot about him. He'll be 3 in November. Had him in 2019. Those
second borns.
Gracious. How could I forget him? He's so loud.
He is absolutely, he is the poster child for energy, right?
Energy. Yes. He loves to jump off of things. And at this point, I just allow it. When we're in public, I try to pretend like, oh, buddy, be careful. Like I don't let him just jump off of everything at home. And I do, because I don't have the energy to tell him to stop.
He'll be the president someday. You know
I
that?
hope so. Or the ringleader for a drug cartel. One of the two. I hope not. Just kidding.
Are you leading in prison or are you leading in the nation? Like you got 2 options
here. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, so you had Colin. Okay. When did you have Colin?
2019.
Okay, yes. So go back to where you were at. Sorry.
Okay, so then COVID hit. We fared well during COVID and that big freeze. We did okay.
Yeah.
And then 2021, Father's Day weekend, we got in the car to go visit my sister-in-law, Paige, and her family. And that night, it was that night, Paige has these season tickets to concerts. And whoever was playing that night was this weird singer. I won't mention his name because I just called him weird. But Drew wanted to go watch him perform. So we did. And we were all like, this is the music you like? Who are you? Anyways, so after that, we went home and Drew was like, I've never seen Greenhall. I would love to see Greenhall. So Jeff, my brother-in-law, was like, I'll take you. And at that point, Colin had woken up. He was a baby at the time. So I ran in and he and Jeff jumped on the golf cart and they were going to go just drive around New Braunfels. It's a golf cart town.
Right.
I woke up at about 4 a.m. to Paige in my bedroom saying, hey, I need you to come with me. And obviously I knew Drew wasn't there. So I was like, something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff and Drew had been rear-ended by a drunk driver and Drew was ejected and suffered a severe traumatic brain injury. So it was serious. At that point, everything changed. Everything, it felt like everything stopped.
Sure.
It just felt huge.
Yeah. It was huge.
It was huge.
Yeah.
It was huge. So that is the day that my life changed.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Drew. He had a brain injury. What does that mean? Because that can be from concussion all the way to vegetable state.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which I don't even know if that's politically correct to say that phrase.
I tell him all the time, like, babe, at this point last year, you were comatose vegetable. And he's like, what?
Okay. So what is that? What does that mean?
He was unconscious, obviously, when I arrived and saw him. He was a bloody mess. His head was wrapped with gauze. But anyways, his injury was in his left, his motor cortex, which is responsible for fine motor skills, and communication.
Okay.
So Drew's right side was weak. It wasn't moving at all. He has aphasia. So aphasia can affect you in 3 ways. And I really hope there's no like medical professionals listening to me like, don't say it that way. Whatever. Anyways, show me grace, guys. It can affect your understanding of communication as you hear it and process it.
Okay.
Which thankfully he does not have any issues with understanding communication.
Okay. Good.
It can affect communicating verbally, which that has been affected. I was looking back at my notes in February, all he was able to say was mm-hmm and no. And it's really tricky because sometimes when he thought he was saying no, what would come out was mm-hmm. So, he in his mind, he knows he wants to say something, but sometimes it comes out and it's the wrong words.
Right. And how frustrating that must be for him to almost feel trapped inside of yourself.
Inside of himself. Yes.
Wow.
Exactly. Thankfully, he can read still. A lot of aphasia patients cannot. They look at, letters and words, and it looks like, I imagine it looks like Chinese. I don't know. So he can still read, thankfully.
Okay.
And I know he can read because I see him scrolling through his phone and he starts laughing. I'm like, that was funny, wasn't it?
So you've got, that was in 2021
June.
And so here we are a little over a year, about a year and a half almost past.
Yep.
And you've got, what grade is Kennedy in?
She's in first grade.
She's in first grade. And Colin
he'll be 3 in November.
So you've got these 2 beautiful children and a husband. Now, tell a little bit more of the story. Is Drew living at the house?
Drew is at home now.
Okay.
So Drew had been to Tier Neuro Recovery and Rehab 3 times. This last time, they were actually really upset that he was leaving because he was progressing so much. But he had been there for 7 weeks, and essentially it's a hospital, even though it's rehab. And he was just getting burnt out. And like, I imagine that it's depressing to be in a hospital for that long.
Sure.
And we tried to be with him. We were with him daily, but at night we weren't there. So he was alone at times and had a roommate, and just, he wanted to come home, and his therapist agreed that you need to let him come home. It's not fair to keep him here. So now he's home, and he has physical therapy 5 days a week at home, which he loves.
Does he really?
Well, I mean, he loves being home doing it.
Sure.
That's the thing. And I just take him around with me all day. He's not back in work yet. And I joke with him. I'm like, this is going to really encourage you to get back to work, having to ride around with me and do all the things that I do all day.
So where is he at progression-wise now?
So his right leg has truly woken up. He can walk with a walker in his right hand. It's like a big cane. In his left hand, and he can take steps, and he just has this belt that his physical therapist holds on to. And
so he's not walking by himself.
He is. His physical therapist is helping him keep his balance.
Okay.
So he's taking the steps fully himself.
That's awesome.
Yes, it is huge, especially because, a neurosurgeon told me, I don't think he'll ever use that right leg again. He'll probably be able to use it like a crutch or kind of like a kickstand. I'm like, lovely.
Hey, you should go work for Hallmark neurosurgeon.
Seriously.
Okay, so here's the interesting thing going back. My memory was there was a lot of, obviously as Christians, we have hope.
Right.
But there was a lot of hopeless comments and diagnosis and all of that. That was, he will never recover.
Right.
This is
as good as it gets.
Well, at one point, we weren't even sure if he was going to live.
Right.
Right. And so, so now he is using his right leg. Where is he at on his communication?
Oh my gosh, he's doing so much better. He has a handful of words that he can say, and you would be surprised how much you can get across with a handful of words.
Sure.
And he can, when somebody comes up to him, hey, Drew, how are you? Good. How are you?
Oh, I love that.
I mean, it's just, that's incredible for him to be able to interact with people and there not be that awkward moment where he's like, in his head, I'm imagining him saying, I can't say anything right now to you.
Right.
It's huge. It's such a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. So how, with the kids, how are they with Dad?
Amber, this is the crazy thing. They literally never skipped a beat. They never once have treated him any differently than the day before the accident. The moment when they saw him, I want to say it was about 2 months after the accident. So they went a long time without seeing him.
Yeah.
He was in his bed. He was, like you said, in a vegetative state at that point.
Yeah.
They climbed on him, kissed him, loved him. Hey, Daddy. I mean, they just treat him exactly the same. It baffles me.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where the hard conversation, and it's like, well, no, that was hard. Okay, of course. Yes, that situation's hard. But oftentimes when we hear people's stories, their testimonies, it's this happened this many years ago. And now we're traveling around the world and telling people about the goodness and faithfulness of God, which I love those stories. But I've also been in a place before when I've heard a story like that. And I'm like, but I'm not there. And that's great that you've experienced healing, or that you've experienced restoration, or that you've experienced hope. And I'm in a really dark, lonely valley. And so I know that there's hope. I know that there's faith. I know that there's been so much progression. But the honest truth is you guys are still in it.
Yeah.
You're still in it. So tell me a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about that. The process now, you're not a single parent, but you are operating much. He's not running to pick the kids up. You're not, hey, babe, it's been a long day at work. And he's like, hey, I'll pick up a pizza on the way home.
No.
None of that is happening.
No. And I can't even leave him at all. Because they're like, he might get up and fall. Like, you can't leave him.
And Drew's stubborn.
Drew
would try to do that,
right?
right?
Yes, he will. Yes.
And I just think that's like knowing the Drew that I knew a little bit before, that just the sarcasm and just the stubbornness, and which I think is also part of what's helping this healing process.
Yes.
He's like, watch me, but in that you're not a single parent, but you are doing all the parenting right now alone.
Yes.
Not the love. His love is there. Right. Absolutely. But when Colin's jumping off the refrigerator, or whatever he's doing.
It's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in that, that's got to be exhausting. That's got to have, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but talk to me a little bit about the grieving process. Tell me a little bit about that, because I believe that was very real.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. We're still in the thick of grieving.
Sure.
It's ongoing, right? Like there's a life before that we've grieved. Like that's no longer. It's a different story now.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, because I felt so much pain and so much sorrow. And I just I use a lot of imagery. Like you said, I'm kind of got an artistic brain.
Very artistic brain.
Like if I were to describe to you how I felt, it would be like I was in a dark, grimy, yucky pit. And God would just reach his hand in and yank me up, just set me down. And I've learned that I control the tempo of my home. I don't know.
Well, so let's talk about that for a second. How do you do that? Because I'll be honest. If it was me, right now there are still days that I wake up and grumpy. I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm just not feeling today. Right. So you don't have that.
So it's
option,
it's
right?
a perspective switch for me. So like before, I would get annoyed with the kids throwing their clothes on the ground. That doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
Like those little things, I'm like, whatever,
right.
Because it's just such a massive shift in perspective. I have been through so much.
Yeah.
I am not going to let these little things ruin my day anymore. I'm not going to let, like when Kennedy, she's a bear in the morning. I'm not going to let her little 7-year-old bad mood ruin my morning. I'm just not.
Right.
We've run out of milk. Okay, we'll get through it. Whatever, And then I was mentioning like the practical stuff. Like I have learned to prepare everything in advance. So like I said before to you, before we started, nothing can be hard for me because I'm one person taking care of 3 people.
4 people.
4 people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so like I set every single thing out for the next day, the day before around 4:00 when I still have a bunch of energy. Like I don't wait until after dinner.
I think that, okay, let's put the situation that you're in aside. That's brilliant in knowing look, while I have that's a good parenting tip.
Yeah.
That while I have the energy,
I'm going to do it now.
If I can work on tomorrow so that when tomorrow comes, I'm not stressing.
Right.
Because I've done these things.
Yes.
And for you to say nothing can be hard for me, that doesn't mean you're not going through hardships.
No.
It means if anything I can simplify, I'm going to do it right now.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you lay all their clothes out.
I lay all their clothes out. The lunches are made the day before. We're never going to be doing homework that morning. Like it's done. It's been done right when we walked in the door. My bed's made as soon as I possibly can make it. I like to.
Why do you do that? Tell me about that.
Well, it makes me feel good. It makes me like when you wake up and you accomplish something right off the bat,
Even something small.
it sets you up for success. And I'm not the one who came up with that psychological whatever,
Right.
but let me tell you, it works.
Right.
I get dressed every morning. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm looking glamorous, but I'm not going to go drop them off in my pajamas because I'm not going to feel good. And listen, sometimes I'm jealous of the moms who drop their kids off in pajamas because I'm like, you don't care. Like, you just like whatever. But for me,
Yeah.
I need to have my game face on.
Why do you feel like that's necessary?
Because I don't want those little things to come in the way of the tempo of our home.
I love that.
I want it.
No, and you're not sitting here bashing anyone that has those because you still have days, right? You still have moments.
Yes.
Because if somebody saw you right now, they would see this adorable, bright, happy person, but you have moments of breakdown. You have moments, ugly cry, you know?
Oh, yeah. But Drew's not there to pick up my pieces right now. So I kind of have to like pick up what he would pick up for me too.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, he's there with us and him being there is just enough in itself, let me tell you. But I've just got to be prepared at all times for all things.
So because you're still in the grieving process, you're still in the growing process, the learning process. When did you feel freedom and peace to just say, this is what it is right now?
Yeah. So this is probably the biggest thing that I've learned. And the most freedom I've felt through this is that I am a person who doesn't like change. I plan things. I have a lot of expectations. And God just opened my eyes and helped me realize that I've got to let go of those expectations.
So explain that. What does that look like? Like expectations.
Expectations. So like I would picture how things should be and how things should turn out. And it's a very controlling way to live. And it can get tangled up in hope, which they're two different things.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like you can, the word says, what is it, Romans 8:25, about waiting but if we wait expectantly for the things we have never seen, then we hope with true perseverance and eager anticipation. It's different than my like little,
this is what I want the future to look like.
Right. I had to let that go.
So what you're saying is instead of going, someday Drew and I will ...
Right.
You went to the word and said, I'm expecting something I can't even imagine.
Yes.
Because I know there's hope in that.
Right.
Because God has that future.
Yes.
Wow, that's powerful, Katie. That's powerful. Is it always easy?
No.
Okay.
Because I have a lot of things that I want and desire, but
you're also not saying that you've stopped dreaming. It's not like you're like, well, it's never going to be that way. You're just like, I don't want to box it in.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to box it in. Like, for instance, like I had these ideas of how surgeries should go.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take it back to Drew. I would think, okay, this surgery, when he got so for months, his skull cap was not on his head because there's swelling there and it needs to have time to go down. So we were waiting for that skull cap to be placed back on, his cranioplasty. And, I asked God to make it a successful surgery, and I believed in that. I did. But I also had a picture of, okay, we're going to put that skull cap back on. He's going to wake up. He's going to start talking. Like, that was me controlling the narrative.
Right.
That, and I don't want to confuse anyone with, like hope. For me, they're two different things.
Yeah.
But so like he had his cranioplasty, there was an issue. They had to take it off, take his skull cap back off and put it back on again. And what's amazing about that is that these surgeons were panicked about his skin breakdown. There's a really high risk for infection anytime you go into the brain. Anytime. There's extremely high risk. And if he were to get an infection, they're like, that's it, we're done. Like, we can't, there's nothing we will probably be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
So they were really worried about that. They'd been putting it off as long as they could. Well, it came to a point where they couldn't put it off any longer, and they performed the surgery, sewed him up, and they realized we're going to have to go back in. And for them, they're like, this isn't going to work.
So when that happened, did they express their concern to you?
Oh, yeah. They said to me, you know, one of the doctors said, you might have to make a decision. Do you want Drew to live like this forever? And if this is the best Drew ever is, do you want this life for him? And I'm just thinking, he's not a dog. I can't put him down. Like, those were literally the thoughts in my head.
Oh, my goodness. And so then if you're battling through this, those feelings and going, wait a minute, God is sovereign. And hey, doctor, you don't get to make that decision either. And there's probably every emotion known to man.
Every emotion. And just at that point, I got physically sick. I had to stay home a few days because I couldn't.
Wow.
I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't. One of the doctors said to me, you need to bring your kids to see him because I don't know what this is going to end up like. The cool part of that story is that they performed that second cranioplasty. It went so they didn't think they had enough skin to stretch out over his skull.
Yeah.
They had I call him a plastic surgeon. I don't think that's what he was, ready to do a skin graft and place it on his, like they were making all these big plans of how they could possibly make it work if it wasn't going to work. Amber, it worked.
That's awesome.
It worked. There was never any infection. They were shocked. And I say all that because I look back now and I can see why those things had to happen, because there's no explanation for that other than that it was a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
There's no explanation. And if I could just have seen that when I was asking God for his surgery to end up a certain way with Drew looking a certain way when he woke up, if I could just see like, hey, Katie, I'm going to take care of this, but I'm going to do it in my own way. And I'm going to do it in my own way such that nobody's going to be able to deny that I had my hand in it.
Yeah. Wow.
That's what I mean when I say there's a difference in your expectations.
Right.
And trusting God to do what only he can do.
Yeah. Scripture says exceedingly abundantly more than we can ask or think. And we only know what we know. Right. So if all you've experienced is this, you don't know what's bigger than that.
Right.
And so we limit God.
We do.
Without even meaning to.
Yeah.
And so but there's got to be a hard balance between that moment of, you know what, God, I'm just taking the expectations off and I'm trusting you. But yet, Lord, you still want me to be somebody who has dreams.
Right. Yeah.
And hopes for the future without limiting the way we get there.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the balance. And that's when staying in the Word, which has been a struggle for me since the accident. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat that.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up early before the accident. I woke up early and spent, I'm kind of a legalistic person. I'm like, I need to spend.
I love that you just admitted that you're like, I'm kind of legalistic.
I'm like, I need to spend 30 minutes with the Lord. I need to, and I'm going to pray beforehand. I'm going to turn on a little worship music. I'm going to read my scripture and then a psalm because I love psalms and I want them they make me happy and feel good. And then I'm going to journal for a few minutes and then I'm good to go. I did that every morning. And since this accident, like Amber, I couldn't read 2 words at some points,
Yeah.
I didn't have much to offer. He carried me.
Wow. But okay, let's look at this though.
Okay.
One of the key things I think, and again, this is your story, your journey, but I think one of the key things was you also had community.
Oh my gosh.
And
we're really big on pushing this, that you're not meant to do life alone.
No.
And so people who go through things alone, when they don't
I can't imagine.
stop. And, I posted about this earlier, that, we want to post the second part of the verse, the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. But the first part of that verse is, if you confess your sins one to another, he is faithful. And so that confession, it's not just about, the healing is not just about physical healing. It's mental, emotional, spiritual, but that comes through confession. And that's not a random person. I did this bad thing yesterday, but it's I have accountability in my community. And that healing could be not just, like I said, physical, but that I'm like what you said, I don't have anything to give. I can't read 2 words. Yeah. Well, that's where your community comes around, and those effectual fervent prayers of the righteous community, the body of Christ, come together, and they hold you. They lift you up.
They did.
They support you.
Yes.
And I mean, would you say that was huge for you?
If there was a word bigger than huge, I'd use that.
Yeah.
Like the city of Huntsville, Texas. And I mean, gosh, everyone has been so good to us. We were fed for a year. I mean, like, I didn't have to worry. And that was making a decision about dinner at the beginning.
Yeah.
I could never.
Yeah.
I could never even, no. My family has been incredible. My mom, I called my parents the morning of the accident. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let them sleep a little bit, because they're going to wake up and that's going to be it, Yeah. So I called them about 5:30. I'm like, I need y'all to get in the car and come. So they threw suitcases together. My mom stayed with us for months without going home in San Antonio with what she had. People have given up so much for us. And one thing about that is that I think my natural tendency would be to kind of sink into my hole. And they didn't let me do that in the most loving way.
Right.
I didn't want to do that because of them.
Yeah.
They took care of us.
Amazing.
People drive by I get texts, hey, I just drove by, just prayed over y'all. There's nothing better than that. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So basic question I think anybody could ask would be thinking this. What do you do when it's too much? Because there are moments that are too much.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I take a nap. And I'm not a person who likes naps, but when it's all too much,
you rest.
I rest. That's
powerful.
I give kids their iPads if they're home. I tell Drew, hey, I'll be out in a few minutes. And I go and I lay down, and I'm probably got tears in my eyes. But when I wake up, I'm better. And it's most of the time, it's literally less than 15 minutes, but I'm better. And then I go and I make myself a cup of coffee and listen to a little worship music, because I don't think the enemy can come into me when I am listening to worship music. Yeah. I'm like, you're not
messing with me.
You're not messing with
with my thoughts. Wow. Are there moments when you don't do it right?
Every day, I feel like.
Okay.
Every day. I've let go of being a perfectionist.
And that's hard for you, huh?
Yeah, that's really hard for me. I like things to be a certain way.
Yeah,
I do. But letting go of that, there's a lot of freedom in that too. And I guess letting my kids see the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Hey guys, sorry if I'm snappy right now. I'm frustrated with XYZ.
Yeah.
Kennedy, can you help me out with this? Because I'm feeling really tired right now.
Yeah. Colin, can you get off top of the refrigerator?
Please stop jumping off of this stuff, for the love of God. Literally.
Okay. So, I guess this is probably a hard question, but, what does trust and obedience, what has that looked like?
So I felt like I had 2 options when it came to trust. I could trust man or I could trust God. And I'm going to be honest, the easier option is to trust man.
Mm-hmm. Why do you say that?
Because God tells me everything's going to be okay.
Right.
I'm like, okay, God, but what are the details?
Right.
You know? And like a surgeon will say, this is a possibility, this is a possibility, and this is a possibility. Okay, so I've got 3 possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
I can plan for 1, 2, or 3. I can make a plan for that.
And as a planner, as a person who
Right.
likes control and order,
that's easier.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
easier. But the Bible says, cursed is the man who trusts in man. So I choose to trust God, and I look back and I'm so glad that I did. There was one time I literally told, sometimes I got snappy with those doctors.
I love that. I would have loved to have seen that, just saying.
Yeah. Well, one of the,
like, yeah, no,
one
you
of
wouldn't.
one of the things in my obedience and trust is advocating for Drew.
Right.
Taking on that role in that moment. I don't know anything about the medical world, but they would do rounds every day. They'd come and it was so crazy. It's overwhelming. There's like a surgeon, a neurologist, like a team of 10 people that would meet around his room and have a meeting about him, talking about my husband in very non-sensitive words. And so I would write down everything. I would write down every single medication. I'd write down every single symptom, everything that was going on in that day. And I was with him all the time. They weren't with him all the time. I was.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had that record and I had my experience, and I could go back and like say 3 weeks after that rounds, okay, something's going on and these are the meds. And I'd pop in, I'd say that happened here and we were on this med and now we're on this med. So and they'd be like, oh, that's true. And it didn't take any like medical knowledge. It just took me being diligent about
and present
about showing up for the job that I needed to do as a wife in that moment. So that was obedience in that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, and just putting all my energy into that. But the one it was actually an anesthesiologist. He was there for Drew's accident and he just loved Drew. He was like, we're the same age. This could have been me. I live in New Braunfels. Like he just showed up for Drew and would come and check on him. He was so sweet. And at one point, Drew had made this was when he was still not moving. He had made some movements with his arms and legs, and we were really excited about it. Well, the neurologist came in and said, he's posturing. That's bad. That means he probably has brainstem damage. And so we're like, okay. And then he says, brainstem damage is not reversible. If that's the case, like we're done. And so my mother-in-law and I were just like, okay, pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that anesthesiologist was standing there. We were just staring at Drew at that point. And I said, he does not have the final word. And he kind of looked at me. He's like, what? And Nan said, she means that he doesn't know the future. God does. And so we just were this united front.
Yeah.
And we didn't do it perfectly. Please don't get me wrong. But that moment is a moment that I'm proud of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know that you did, was it called Caring Bridge?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So there was for those of us who followed that, and you were, what was amazing to me about you, Katie, is I would still get these texts. You owed me nothing. You owed no one any information, but you're keeping up with Caring Bridge and you're saying, hey, this is what happened today. And what I can speak for myself, just having been on the outside, way outside, looking in, watching you say, this is what they're saying, but this is how we're praying.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm not saying that as eloquently as you did, but it was like, here's the report. This is how we pray. This is what we're believing for. But this is what they're saying. It forced our not forced our alignment, but it helped us get aligned with where is your faith?
Yeah.
What are you doing? How do we need to be supporting you? How do we need to be supporting your children and your family and having your back from wherever we're at? And I know that wasn't just to me. There was a million people that you were keeping informed because I believe that you recognize these people are praying.
Oh yeah.
These are not just nosy people sitting there drinking coffee going, wonder what's happening. These are people who are interceding on behalf of our family.
Right.
And this is the body of Christ coming together and doing their part.
And I mean, I just knew my people pray. That is one thing that they've got it going on when it comes to that. And I just knew they had my back. I could
for sure,
like almost tangibly feel it.
For sure.
You know, I mean, I'm grasping for anything that I could at that point.
Yeah.
And y'all had our backs.
Well,
did.
And then I'm not making fun, but you say you're not medical, but I would get these texts from Katie or from Shelby or different family members, we're getting these. Paige would send me texts and I'm like, okay, so, or I just got this, Paige sent one. I just got this from Katie. And so I would go to pray and I would just look at the text. I'm like, Lord,
I don't know, Lord,
this is what they're saying happened. And I couldn't pronounce some of the words.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to pray and my heart was there, but then I'm laughing at myself because I'm like, he's got a blah, 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 blah going on,
It's like Old Testament names.
But it was in that moment, I remember thinking, how many people got this? How many people are praying right now? Right now, and because I know I would, because I'm the person that if I tell you I'm going to pray for you, if I don't stop right then, my heart is there,
right.
But I get busy and then I'll forget. So I would stop and pray in that moment. And I was thinking, how many people are doing that? And then I would get tickled. How many people are trying to say these words too? They don't know what they're doing. But yet then to see this, what feels like a very slow process, because it has been.
Oh gosh,
right?
Yes. So slow.
But it's still forward motion.
Yeah.
And to go, okay, God, we see what you're doing here. I have another question. I told you that was probably my last one, but it's not. Yes. On just you guys walking through just the financial side of things, like without getting into your business, I know that the strain of that has to be like, but how are you just trusting God and moving through, because you're working, but he's not,
right?
And he was carrying Jason's company, and so now he's not. How are you without? You share whatever you want to share, but how if somebody's listening to this going, oh my goodness, because how are they making it? How are they? What is going on? How do you trust God when you don't have a guaranteed income in this spot or whatever?
So God just totally and completely blessed us. He's been blessing us through Jason's company still. And there would be days that Drew never worried about. First of all, let me just tell you, my husband never worried about money. There's no emotional attachment to money for him. He's like, money comes and money goes. Yeah. For me, I was the person, I didn't have our bank account password because I didn't want to look at it because it stressed me out. If we had too much, then I'd be like, oh, I can spend money. If we didn't have as much as I thought we should, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I need to get to work. Like I just didn't, I wanted him to take that for us. And I was so thankful that he did. But I'm also thankful that now I can look at it and not freak out.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, God just blessed us. I mean, I remember one day I got a bill for $3,000, and in that same stack of mail was a check from my parents' church for $3,000. Like, I just didn't ever have to worry about it because God was so, I think he just knew my heart.
Right.
And I think he knew, like, I don't want her to be stressed about money right now. Like, I want to take care of this for her. Oh, Amber.
There's, you hear people say, and we talked about this earlier, the misquoting of scripture by people saying, God will never give you more than you can handle. And that's not true.
No,
that's not true at all.
That's not true.
But what is true is that he will never leave you or forsake you, and that he will carry you.
Yes.
But I do think God knows what our needs are, and he meets us in those moments. And for you to see glimpses of his faithfulness with, here's a $3,000 bill, but also here's a check
to cover it.
And that doesn't mean that all of a sudden there's mice making your clothes and birds making your bed. And, it's a Disney story, but
No.
it's you see glimmers of hope and
Yeah.
moments of faithfulness that
Yes.
changes everything.
Everything.
Wow.
Mhm.
So if you had, and this is kind of I didn't even tell you I was going to do this,
Mhm.
but if you were to sit in front of somebody
Mhm.
who was in a dark valley right
Mhm.
now, and they're looking for hope.
Yeah.
What would your advice be? What would you tell them to do? Where would you tell them to start?
I, there's one verse from a song that comes to mind. There's freedom in the free fall.
Mm.
It's hold on to I would say hold on to the biblical truths that you know and remind yourself of those biblical truths as often as you can.
Yeah.
I would say allow people to help you.
Yeah.
Just stop. Like, you don't need to say thank you 1,000 times. It blesses them to help you. Just
Wow.
let them help you. I would say choose joy when it's
Yeah.
hard. Like, you can bring yourself out. You can ask God to help you come out of a bad mood.
Mm-hmm.
You can. I mean, take a little nap, come back. It's okay.
Yeah.
There's joy. And really just rest in his presence.
That's good.
I would, there's not like a bunch of, you don't bring anything to the table and to anything to God's table.
Right.
Like you're not contributing to his plan for you other
Yeah.
than obedience.
But hey, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're not, and we all need to hear that no matter what.
Right.
We're not contributing to God's plan, just obedience.
Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful. Well, Katie, thank you for being so vulnerable and honest and transparent. And I have loved and been so honored to just see God's hand through your family. But I also believe that this is your story and your message is one that is meant to not just, I mean, God didn't cause this, but God will use it, right?
Amen.
And I believe
Yes.
that there are going to be so many people that this inspires that, you know what, I don't have to stay stuck.
Yeah.
I don't have to stay in this moment that I know that even though I can't control what the outcome looks like, God's plans are greater than mine.
Amen.
So I lean into that and I hold on to that and I
Yes.
trust him to do, like we said earlier, exceedingly abundantly more than we can ask or think. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time today. Love you. And we're going to
Love
continue
you.
to pray for your family. And does Drew know that you're doing this today? I forgot.
He does. I kind of like was vague. I'm like, I'm going to talk to a friend in spring. Maybe there's a podcast involved. I don't know.
It's not Amber. Don't ask. It's
Don't
not
ask.
Amber. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Love you so much, friend.
I love you. And thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget, stay tuned for the extra shot.
I'm Amber Noble, and you have been listening to Grounds for Conversations. To ensure you don't miss our next podcast, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Don't forget to hang around for an extra shot.
Welcome back. For this extra shot, I still have my friend Katie Frisch here. Katie mentioned in the podcast that she's a realtor. And so I thought that one of the funnest topics would be about the weird, strange things you see in real estate.
So many weird things, Amber. So many weird things. I'd say the most frequent weird thing I see is involving toilets. Does that surprise you?
No, because, I'm not a realtor.
No.
But I have great respect for architecture
Yes.
and home design. But I follow a couple accounts on Instagram of like strange things found in houses.
Yep.
And the fact that you said toilets, that was what I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
Why do people put like a toilet in a closet and call it a half bathroom?
I don't know. Or like you'll see toilets on like you'll have to step up 3 steps to get to the toilet. And I can just only imagine a man thinking, I spend so much time on this toilet. I just want to look out upon my peasants while I'm pooping.
Okay. There was a restaurant we went to one time that in Arkansas. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Toad Suck Bucks.
Oh,
okay. Like that should be its own episode in itself. Okay. Because there's a part called Toad Sucks. It's just whatever. Anyway, you're driving down this like dirt country road and you pull into this. There's like dogs everywhere. You're like, this is, I'm not eating here. Or are we here to buy drugs? Like, what is this? This is weird. Mm-hmm. It was in the middle of nowhere. And you go in and they have shuffleboards. I think they had a pool table. There was a stage and a sign that said, we can do your wedding.
Oh,
so, but they're known for their steaks and their steaks are like as big as a plate. And it's like insane, but probably one of the best steaks I've
ever had.
Yeah, it's really good. I don't know. Like I never looked at the kitchen. I never was going to look that way. Fantastic food.
Think happy thoughts.
Yes. Like
eat that
soft
steak.
Kitty, warm.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had to go to the restroom, went to the bathroom and I didn't know what to do because I was like, I'm so confused.
Where do I go?
You walk into this room that there was probably enough room in that bathroom to have maybe 2 stalls. I don't know.
Okay.
But you walked upstairs. But if you walked up the stairs to sit on this toilet, then your head is right by the ceiling.
No. So you're crouched over?
Yes.
Oh
so
my
you're
gosh.
up there like
you're trying to like get you in the primal position.
And I just was in there and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I climbed up the stairs, went to the restroom, washed my hands, and I came back. I got Phil. I was like, I need you to go in there and look at the bathroom. He's like, why are you so weird? I'm like, go look right now. Go. He's like, I don't need to go. I'm like, go look. And he comes back. He goes, why is the toilet on the top of a staircase? I'm like, it's like a throne on the throne.
Weird.
It was just weird. So do you see that a lot?
Yeah.
You see.
Okay. Also, you see double toilets a lot. So one time
Are you talking like a bidet or?
No, ma'am. I am not talking about a bidet. Like I walked into this primary bathroom and.
What do you mean primary bathroom?
Okay. So you can't say master bathroom anymore.
Why?
I think
Is it a politically correct thing?
Right. Yes.
Well, because
I was supposed to like read some info on this and I'm not sure that I did.
So is that why when we're watching like HGTV, they say an ensuite?
Yeah. They're probably just trying to avoid the word master bathroom or it's a primary suite. It sounds like
slavery
master and slave. Yeah. So
look, I had these kids. They're going to clean this house. That is the master bathroom and that. Okay. So
yes.
Primary bathroom is the where like
the owner's suite is another thing that they call it.
So that would be a primary bathroom.
Primary bathroom.
See, because in my mind, primary bathroom would be the bathroom that everybody has access to. But the one in the ensuite or master suite or owner suite, that's not primary because you don't have access to that.
So like in real estate, it's always like first bedroom, second bedroom, third bedroom. And I don't know how they determine which ones. How do I determine which one's like, I don't know.
Is the first one would be considered the master bedroom? Mm-hmm. I'm saying the word that I just didn't know that. I'm not trying to be politically incorrect, but I can understand that word being having
like
negative.
A trigger.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. Okay. So I need to work on that. So the
primary bathroom, I walk in and there's 2 toilets next to each other. In the middle of them, there's the little pony wall, which is like a little half wall. Right. So that I guess you can hold hands with your spouse while you're going to the bathroom. I can't.
Okay, let me tell you something. I'm a pretty open book, but there's parts of me that's very private. Phil and I were married for, months and months and months before he even knew I went to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because that was just like, I never want to go to the bathroom next to somebody.
No.
Especially somebody you can make eye contact with. Like, that's why I'm glad I'm not a dude. I would never use a urinal.
Ever.
I would go in there and I would go into the stall.
I would be like, they're looking at my butt. Wait, I don't know.
Yeah, like no.
So embarrassing.
No. Okay. So were you selling this house?
We were. Okay. So thankfully this was like an investment property. So they weren't like scared off by it. They can just remove it. One thing is it's a plumbing line, so you can use that plumbing line for something else if you'd like to. A bidet. Maybe. Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Like I know. Unpopular opinion. I think bidets are the greatest thing ever.
Do you have one?
No, I don't, but I want one.
I want one too.
The way our primary bathroom, did you like how I did that?
Good job.
The way our primary bathroom is set up that we would have to take out one of the closets and I need closets.
When COVID happened and the toilet paper shortage, Drew said, I'm going to make us a bidet. I'm like, okay, yay, here we go. That man was going to order a vegetable sprayer to hook up to our toilet.
That's disgusting.
To spray himself off.
That's disgusting.
I said, no, absolutely not.
Do you know that you can actually, for those of you interested in the bidet, you can get
a kit.
Yes.
Right.
They have bidets that actually attach to your toilet. So you don't have to have a separate.
Okay.
And they're like $600 to $1,000. And if you get a really good one.
How worth it is it to you? Your cleanliness.
Let me tell you, I have a friend that has one, and it has a heated toilet seat and everything. And I get why people love them.
Okay.
I also understand why people are afraid of them.
It.
Yeah. Yeah.
You pressed the wrong button or something.
Well, my kids, when they were little, my sister had one, and they were fascinated, and they were in there pushing it and water spraying up out of the toilet. I'm like, yeah, leave it to us country people to go, Mama, look at this toilet has a fountain, It's like, get away from it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so they could put a bidet in.
Funny.
What else have you seen?
Okay, so this isn't like about the house, but this is an experience. I feel like I have to share it. So I'm showing this house, and side note, I'm just going to give y'all a little golden nugget of information. If you're listing your house and your real estate agent says, please do not be here when I'm showing the house, you say yes, ma'am, or yes, sir. And you're not going to be there. Don't be there when she is showing your house.
Tell me why.
Well, let me tell you a little story.
I'm here for it. Tell me.
So I'm showing some clients this house. And as I'm walking them up to the door, I get a text. Oh yeah, the owners will be there. Okay. Didn't have any time to warn my clients or anything. And I'm going to change things around a little bit just so that nobody can know, like nobody can figure out who. Anyways. Okay. So the man opens the door, and we walk in, and he's talking our ears off and like just trying to sell this house. We're like, we're good. We just want to look. And so off the kitchen, there's this room, and I'm like, oh, what's this way? And at this point he said, don't open this door. Don't do this. Don't go out here because of the dogs and the pets. We're like, okay, like we're ready to leave, but we got to look at this house. So we're like, we want to go over to this side of the house. What's through there? And he said, oh, that's a bedroom. My daughter's in there with her boyfriend. And if you go through that bedroom, then there's a laundry room past that bedroom. So we're like, okay, we need to look at the laundry room. So we go in. I'm like, hi, how are y'all? The little couple is like just lounging on the bed watching TV. So we go.
How incredibly awkward is this?
Exactly. The things that you don't think are awkward, other people might think are awkward. And I think that's just why it's better safe than sorry to just leave during showings. So we go to the laundry room, which is attached to that room. And then we come back, and that the boyfriend has his foot propped up on the bed. And I just kind of glance over. He's wearing basketball shorts. I see everything, Amber.
Oh gosh.
Everything. And I'm like, did my client just see everything? He wasn't wearing any panties.
Boys don't wear panties.
Undies.
Boys shouldn't wear panties. Let me say it that way. There may be some that do. It's 2022. But like,
I was just like,
how long did you guys stay before you left that house?
We were there a solid hour because that owner was just talking our ear off, and my clients are so sweet. And they were just like, I'm like, if y'all ask another question, like off with your head, we're out of here.
Right. So did they ever sell that house?
I think they did. Yes.
But just not through you.
Not through me. No. And it was like, there were boxes everywhere. I was like, they're not going to be able to get moved out of this. This is a nightmare. Like, we're not. Nope.
Oh, yeah. That's awful.
Funny.
Okay. So tell me, what about when people put the faux brick painting with the vines and do you still see some of that?
We
in
do.
Places?
I most recently regarding paint, I saw an all turquoise house. Every item in that house, the walls were turquoise. The finish, everything was turquoise. And most of the time, buyers are pretty open-minded. If the price is right, they're pretty open-minded to like paint changes. But if
Like
it's
the cabinets and everything were turquoise.
everything was it was like a beach theme, and this house was in Huntsville, so
Which is not the beach.
not the beach, honey. No, everything was turquoise. We were like, wow. But you know what we did realize? We're like, we do feel kind of like calm because the science behind blues is that it's a very calming.
That would not make me calm. I would be,
we were
but
like,
you know me, this is pre-Joanna Gaines. I've always been whites and creams.
Neutral.
Like I just
Yes.
I need peace.
Yes.
Turquoise cabinets and
Mhm.
walls. My brain would just start losing it.
Yeah.
I would.
It was funny. So I don't know. I don't like always recommend to my clients to go through and paint the whole house. I don't know. It just kind of depends.
Yeah.
It depends.
What about when people have so much clutter?
Oh, now that's a big deal
Yeah.
because like even like I don't even want you to have like if you have a dresser and then like if you have 2 dressers and cube system in your room, like I'm going to be like pick one because you're telling your buyer that this house isn't big enough, so you have to put all your stuff here. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Psychologically, those are the things that I'm looking for.
Well, when we were moving back to Texas and I was here looking at houses, Phil was not in state. I went into this one house and there was an obsession with porcelain dolls and cherubs, those little baby angels.
Yes.
And there were porcelain dolls in the bathroom. There were porcelain dolls every room. And I'm walking through and you can't even make this up. We were already scheduled to see the house. It was kind of spring, so it wasn't real hot outside. Well, there was a power outage in the community and the power trucks were outside working, but it was daytime. So you could see.
No.
I'm walking through this dark house, like kind of dark house. And these dolls are staring at me. Sister, that house could have been next to free. I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Imagine.
I'm like,
that's a horror movie.
It was. And I'm
It's a
like, Phil is
nightmare.
not in state and I'm going to die
I'm going to
in
die
this house.
here.
Here I am. Like I'm a Christian, but these dolls are going to kill me.
These
right?
dolls are gonna kill me?
I was so scared. And so that night, after dinner, Phil called and he was like, hey, how was that house? I was like, never. Because, you see the pictures online. This is what got me. The pictures online didn't have dolls. I'm like, did you guys do this after? Or did your realtor come in and say, clear all this out and you did it for the pictures and then you put it back up?
And that happens sometimes because sometimes like when you have clients that are that love their things, sometimes it offends them to ask them to clear out their things. So you're like, okay, at least for the photos, let's get people in and hope that once they're in, they can see past the clutter. Like you can't always force people to clear out their stuff. So you've got to, I don't know, just kind of make do with what you've got.
Yeah. Okay. So what else? What are some other weird things?
Have you ever been into a hoarder's house? Like a full-on hoarder?
No,
That's pretty crazy. That's sad. That's not funny. That I shouldn't have said that.
Well, you know what? I watch that show sometimes.
Yeah.
Actually, when my daughter was a teenager and she's a lot like you, very artistic. So, but she's also kind of a hippie artistic and she's just this incredibly beautiful soul. But as a teenager, she couldn't deal with I started this and then I'm inspired by this. And so she would have stuff everywhere. Yeah. She's an adult now, so we don't have that issue. It's not my problem anyway. How about that? I would make her watch Hoarders because I was like, this is what you're becoming. Yes. This is you. This is what you're going to be. And she was like, I don't want to live
right there.
I've told you before. I'm just waiting for them to say I'm in therapy because of you.
Amber, that's not possible. Your kids are not going to say that.
Well, maybe because I made them watch Hoarders, but that I couldn't do it.
No,
I couldn't do it. Now during Harvey, when we were mucking houses, I saw some level of that.
That's
which
very
was
sad.
It's terrifying.
Yes, it is. Most recently, and this is just fresh on my mind because it was like last week. my friend and I, there was a house that was on the market for very inexpensive. And so I asked a friend, I'm like, hey, meet me over here. Let's look at this house and see if maybe we could possibly flip it.
Yeah.
And Kennedy was with me and she got out and she's like, Mom, these people weren't very healthy, were they? And I was like, no, babe, they weren't. Not everyone lives the way we do. I was like, this is a good parenting moment.
Right.
Just going to use this. That's sad.
And there was just stuff trashed everywhere.
It was crazy. Yeah. There's also, okay, so is it niche? The niches that builders do?
Yes. I don't like those.
I don't like those
I don't know
either.
what to do with it.
Exactly. And I don't think people know what to do with them either. I was in a house where it was like it was a 2-story house and upstairs there's a loft, and looking out towards the front door, there was a niche up like 20 feet in the air. These people had a little, they had a little table and chairs up there.
But you can't get to it.
You can't get to it. No. And if you could, you certainly wouldn't want to sit down and have a cup of tea.
Right. Like, okay, so I've seen that. There's a lot of houses that were built in the 90s that when you walk in the foyer, this is a kind of a Houston thing, I think. You walk in and the foyer is like a 2-story and above like the front door.
Yes.
There's that thing. To me, the only time that would be cool is at Christmas. And you know how much I love Christmas. A tree there would be amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. But the rest of the year, what do you do?
Exactly. And I saw a thing the other day where these people bought a house and they were like, we don't know what to do with this. So what they did was they did a build out and they made it like a reading nook, and it had a ladder that was really cool. But at the same time, it's just like, why do you have that?
Why do you have that? Yeah, I don't know.
Or the niches in the walls, like down the hallway.
Down the hallway.
You have to, it's like, what piece of art do I put there?
I don't know. And they're always arched. So it's like, so you got a square frame.
Right.
Oh, there's another house, many floors. We named it. Amber, I'm not kidding you. Every single room was different flooring. Like we had wood look tile, real wood, luxury vinyl plank, another wood tile that was a different color from the other ones. I'm like, what on earth were you guys
they just finding good deals?
I don't know, but it was a really big house. And so like it was crazy how many different floors they had in there.
Well, we knew some people, and I have to be careful how I say this.
Yes.
Some people many years ago that they couldn't decide what they wanted.
Okay.
And it wasn't like, oh, well, this was on sale. They only had this much square footage of it available. They couldn't decide. They thought it was cool. And they did wood, but they did 3 different colors of wood.
Oh, boy. Did they mix it?
No, they did not. Mixing it.
Possibly.
If you've got the right eye. No.
Right.
The kitchen, living, and dining.
All 3 different.
Together.
This was this house too.
It was weird.
Yeah.
But they bought it all at the same time. It wasn't like, hey, we've got the money right now. We do this. And then they didn't have it. So we have to do something different. They went on purpose. I'm like, what is
Goodness
wrong?
Gracious.
And it stressed me out.
Yeah, that's stressful.
But it wasn't my house, so I couldn't say anything. And I'm just like, oh. No. Okay, what else have you seen that's weird?
Let's see, what else? Oh, well, one house that we walked into, it was a very, very old house and on like pier and beams, not a slab foundation. We walked into it and nowhere on the seller's disclosure did I read this, but there was a giant hole in the dining room floor. I'm talking like as big as this table, which this is probably a 32-inch table for our listeners.
There you go. Just a hole.
A hole, yeah.
So like raccoons and stuff.
And you look down and like you see dirt. Well, I don't know. I don't know why.
You know what?
And it looked like there was a rug that had been on top of it. Because like, you know how when there's a rug on wooden floor and like where the rug was, it's like a little bit darker than the rest of.
Right.
Yeah. Explain that one to me.
That's terrifying.
Another one.
So let's say, this has nothing to do with anything, but let's say you're a kid and you go stay the night at your friend's house and there's a rug there. And then like, you're just hanging out and they're like, hey, guess what? There's a hole in my floor. I couldn't go to sleep because I'd be afraid somebody would come up through that floor.
Of course.
Someone. That's terrifying.
I know.
That's
so scary. And it had been a rental house too, which rental houses are always fun. Yeah. This one we walked into and the renters didn't leave. They were there when we arrived. and they had been smoking dope and it smelled so strong. And they were trying to hide it. We're like, guys, we're not the police. We don't care. But they were so panicked. So that same house, my clients and I, there was one room and they're like, we have a roommate in that room, so you might not want to go in there. And my client's like, I'm about to buy this. I'm about to pay cash for this house and renovate it. Like, I'm going into that room. So he knocks on the door, no answer. And I'm just like, in my real estate education, nowhere did it prepare me for this moment. I don't really know what to do right now. So he goes in and she's just asleep in the bed, like just curled up, kind of like looks up and then puts her head back down. I'm like, okay, look around. Come on, let's go. Like,
oh my gosh.
What an invasion of privacy.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. That's awful. Okay.
Yes.
So, what I think maybe it's just me, but I think probably everybody's wanted this. I always wanted like secret staircases, secret rooms. Do you ever come across any of that?
Mainly under the stairs, there will be like a little, or like in the laundry room, there will be a little secret door and it leads to under the stairs.
Yeah.
That's a real easy one for people to do. And so a lot of builders do that. And I just think it is so cool and fun for the kids. Like that would be my playroom when I was a kid. I would have just loved that.
Yeah. So we had, growing up, I had a friend that in their, I guess it would be considered like a den or bonus living space or whatever. They had this big, like really, really tall armoire that was up against this one wall. And you walk in and it just looks like this beautiful, like it was very manly, very strong leather pieces, lots of dark wood, animal mounts everywhere.
Yeah.
And then this beautiful armoire. Well, when you open the armoire door, it actually led to the playroom.
Stop. That is so cool.
So when you look at the, and this is what was crazy, is they had their floor plans like framed in her dad's office. And she's like, come look at this. So when you look at the floor plans, you don't see that extra room because that extra room was actually grafted in as part of the den or the family room. But so like, if you're looking at it, she's like, it's that way. If ever there's a bad guy that comes to get me,
we're going.
He doesn't know that this exists because he could be in my, and I'm thinking, so the bad guy is in your dad's office going, what's this floor plan of the house? Like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember going, Mom, Dad, we have to have a house with a hidden room.
That is so
This
cool.
is the most amazing thing.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what the TV show was growing up, but there was a clock, like a grandfather clock that moved and it was a hidden stairwell. That I always was like, I want that.
I think what's really cool is when a bedroom is like 2 stories. So it has like a little loft, a little like area.
Yes.
That is so cool.
Except for if they had Colin, because he would jump from that.
No joke. I could never have that. I need a few more years until he like knows that it's not safe. You know, when he started that little habit is right after the accident.
Yeah. He's like, let me show you what I can do.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like sitting there talking to Drew and a vegetative state. I'm like, your son, he's jumping off of everything right now. And you're here laying here. Oh, also, they had gone. Okay. So just a little thing about the accident. They had gone to check out Green Hall and they were like, let's go get tacos. And so that is like on their way to get the tacos and then bring them back home is when it happened. So now I'm like, were the tacos worth it? And, and he'll be like, yes. I'm like, you jerk. I'm like, first of all, you didn't even get to have the tacos. Second of all, you are so stubborn.
Yes. That's the word I'm saying.
Every time.
So, okay. What about, where are you at with wallpaper?
Oh, I love wallpaper.
Me too.
I love it. And I know like at some point 10 years down the road, it's going to be such a like timestamp for the house, but I love it so much. Who cares?
Right.
You know,
well,
it is expensive though.
It is so
small
expensive.
rooms,
small rooms.
That's the key. I think do it in like a powder bathroom where it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
so when we bought, this house is older than I am. And when we bought our house, there was wallpaper everywhere. And in the kitchen, I was taking the wallpaper down and I mean, we're probably like 6 layers in.
I love that.
and I'm, spraying the stuff on and I'm peeling and I fall through part of the wall.
No.
And I'm like, oh my goodness. And Phil comes running in and what they had was, it used to be an intercom system there. Do you remember the intercom? And so they didn't go, hey, we need to fill this frame in. They stuffed it with newspaper and wallpapered over it.
Bless it.
So there was all those different layers over that. And so I'm at the last layer and I fall into where the intercom system was. Like, are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
And that's when I was like, I swore off. I'd be like, I hate wallpaper. I'll never do this. Now we're in the process of remodeling our, what do you call it? A half bath or a powder room?
Half bath, powder room. Both are acceptable terms.
Are they?
Yes.
What makes it a half bath?
It doesn't have a shower or a bathtub.
But it has to have a sink, correct?
Yes, a sink and a toilet.
When somebody advertises a house with 3 and 1/2 bath, a toilet in a small broom closet is not a half bath.
Not technically, no.
You need a sink.
You need
Where
a
do
sink.
you wash your hands?
Yeah.
Also, we've all been through 2020. Remember, we wash our hands.
Yeah.
I have seen so many houses that just are like, we've got this closet.
And we put a toilet in it.
And we don't really need coats. And it's close to plumbing. And they did. They just put a toilet in it.
Well, and another one is in laundry rooms. So I'll see like a giant laundry room. And then there's just this lonely toilet sitting there. I'm like,
why would you do that?
I don't know. That's so odd.
That's gross because then you go to the bathroom where you've got clean clothes.
I know. I don't know. I just feel like it was probably some mom who had like 4 boys and she's like, can you just go somewhere else? I don't know.
Well, okay. So what? Help me understand that. Like, can you imagine, hey, I've got to go change loads of laundry and little Johnny's in there going potty.
So weird.
I would hate my life. I know that there's so much worse things in the world.
Yeah, but
that's
that would
not
be
a good
one
place to put.
Nope, it's not
at all.
But I do see that a lot.
I also think it's weird. Like our powder room or half bath is in our laundry room off of the kitchen.
Okay.
But I've seen people put them directly off of a dining room.
Yeah.
And when you're walking through and you're looking at the house, you're like, oh, this is great. Look, there's the half bath.
Yeah. And then on Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes. And then somebody gets up to go to the bathroom and you hear them flush while you are.
It's embarrassing.
I think it's weird.
Yeah. I think it's weird too. I think it's awkward.
They should call you before they design their home.
Yeah. So like, I would be the guest that would be like, hey, do you have another restroom?
Yeah, exactly.
Is
there somewhere else I can go?
Yeah.
What else? Is there anything else? Like what's another weird thing?
Gosh, I think I've covered all the main ones. Furniture can always be weird. People are weird. I know I'm weird. I'm owning that. Like I've got weird things about me. I just think we're all weird in our own ways. And when you show a house, you are just waltzing into somebody's weird little element.
So when you've shown people houses, do they open people's drawers?
Yes. I always tell my clients, specifically your pantry, I want all your labels facing front. I want everything nice and neat. Take out old stuff, throw it away, make it look nice. You never want your drawers to be stuffed full because it gives off
no storage.
But
I'm not talking about in pantry or cupboards, cabinets. I'm talking about
they do
opening dressers and stuff like that.
Some of them do, yeah, and they just have no shame when they're.
Why would you open somebody's? But that looks like that dresser's leaving with this person.
I don't know.
People think that they have the right. See, that makes me nervous.
Yeah,
I would put a little camera in there.
Oh my gosh, that's a thing right now. I mean, a lot of people have Ring cameras. And so you're supposed to have a little disclosure saying that you have cameras, but sometimes agents don't know that their clients, or maybe they forget to ask. I don't know. So I always try to look around. I'm like, guys, don't say anything too bad about this house. Like, we don't know if we're being listened to or watched.
Listen, I would put them in places I wouldn't want people.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
I would do that.
It just gets... Legally, it gets a little tricky because if ever like you're listening and they're talking about their offer, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So that's why you're supposed to have like a disclosure on there, but I don't see those disclosures very often.
No, no. Well, I think it's There's a lot of weird, you're right. There's a lot of weird things.
Mm-hmm.
What is something, and I know that this is not really funny, but I think it's interesting to hear your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
What is something that you see that's timeless that people do in their homes that you're like, that's not going to go out because it's been in since the beginning?
Always wooden floors.
Yeah.
Like I'm not talking luxury vinyl plank. I'm talking like traditional wooden floors.
Right.
You cannot go wrong with that. And of course not, because they're so expensive.
Right.
But that's what
They're
comes
so
to mind
hard,
first.
though. I
They
feel
are.
like
They're hard.
when you have animals or kids or humidity.
Humidity. Yep.
It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. When we were looking at doing flooring, it was just like we did the wood tile because of,
Me too. They're so easy.
and it's cool and
It is.
like it's cold, and everything's so hot.
I love mine because mine are a little bit lighter than yours and they don't show dirt
now,
like at all. And that's kind of dangerous because like it's nice because I just feel like they're clean all the time. But then I take off my socks. I'm like, oh, it's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think is the biggest mistake that people make in remodeling? I probably made it. So you're probably like, Amber, that thing that you did in that front room, that was the biggest mistake.
What is a big mistake that a lot of people make? I guess I would say just going all out with one trend. Do you know what I mean? Like
farmhouse,
like going like 1,000% farmhouse.
Right. Well, I think if Hobby Lobby or Kirkland's threw up in your house, not that there's any, I love Hobby Lobby.
I do too.
Nothing against any of these stores.
You'll find me there once a week. But
right. Or Ray Dunn. I'm not, okay, can I be honest? I don't. I like that you whispered that. Like everybody. I don't either because it looks like Ray Dunn.
I don't get it.
No. And I have so many friends that love Ray Dunn.
It.
Yes. They're like, I don't have this coffee cup. And I'm like, wow. And what's weird is I like symmetry.
Me too.
And if the coffee cup looks like my kid made it in pottery class because there's dents and stuff.
Not for me.
I don't know how to drink out of it. Because I'm like, what if I put my mouth on this side and then this part?
To hold.
Yeah. And I like dainty.
Me too.
Coffee cups.
But also what I don't understand is the labels. That's what I don't understand.
Whose handwriting? Is that Ray's?
Maybe.
Hey, Ray Dunn, is that your handwriting?
Girl, you need to go back to school.
You know what I hope? I hope that they never add that font on
Comic Sans.
Is that what it is?
No.
It's just the Ray Dunn font.
It's Ray Dunn font.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
Well, and if I have a spoon and it says spoon, am I that dumb?
Know it's a spoon.
I know.
I know it by looking at it.
If I don't know it's a spoon, I'm not going to be able to read that.
Right.
Or hey, where's the fork? Well, where do you read? Oh, that's fork. Okay, that's
it.
Get out of my house. Get out of my house.
Just in case we have guests, guys, when they open the drawer of the silverware, they're going to know. A knife is a knife. Like it. Not a fan.
And you know what? I have friends that probably will not want to be my friend anymore because they are kind of a Ray Dunn cult.
They are. But I was just about to say, all of my friends that love Ray Dunn, I love them. Like I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I love my friends. I just don't like the Ray Dunn stuff. I'm done with Ray Dunn.
It's so.
I want that T-shirt.
She's banking. She's banking because it's still going.
Well,
and how does she have ideas still? She's putting a name on. She's put a name on everything there is to put a name on.
Because
casserole.
Yeah. Coffee.
Pie.
Yeah. Toilet. Yes.
Yeah.
And then or these little cheeky phrases that you read and you're like, that's cute. But it's almost like, is it cute or are you patronizing me with that? Because I think that you are.
Like, don't tell me to smile.
Right. Flush. There's a friend of mine has that in her bathroom.
I knew that.
Well, I want to not flush when I use her. I'm like, I didn't see the sign.
Sorry.
Amber, you just used our guest bathroom. Why didn't you flush? I didn't see a sign. Well, Ray Dunn has one. Oh, you should have made that more clear.
More clear. You should have made it a little bit bigger.
It makes me angry.
Yeah.
I feel like she's bossy.
She's bossy.
Bossy Ray Dunn.
Bossy Ray Dunn.
I'm getting a T-shirt that says, I'm done with Ray Dunn.
Listen, we're going to look up Ray Dunn and she's going to be this sweet little
Yes. Like the chances of her ever hearing this is like 1 in a million.
If you do, Ray, we're sorry.
I'm not sorry.
Amber's not sorry.
I'm not sorry. Ray, you need to get coffee cups that are symmetrical and also it's okay to have a different
Let's
font.
do maybe you could draw out some floral stuff. Maybe you could draw out some patterns. Put those on your mugs.
Live, love, laugh.
Always. My goodness.
No. Yeah, I'm not a Ray
With
Dan
14 crosses around the live, laugh,
okay,
love.
I was looking for something like an organizing piece,
Mm-hmm.
and I ran into Home Goods, and I was like, "Oh, this is perfect."
God's
but when I
gift to
turned
earth,
it
Home Goods.
around,
Mm-hmm.
it was a Ray Dan
Pencils.
piece, and I put it
Pens.
back.
Okay, was it acrylic?
Yeah,
You can get some acetone and you can take it right off.
I don't want to support.
Okay.
I mean, I have that strong a feeling.
Okay. It's okay.
I've regifted 4 Ray Dan mugs. There's my confession. 4.
Did you eat the candy out of them first?
No, because it was probably toxic. I'm a horrible person
That's
for
so
feeling that
funny,
way.
Amber. I love it.
Okay, so I feel
Yeah.
about Ray Dan like I love Pioneer Woman's recipes.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't watch, and it's not just her. I know that this is not worried about. This is for another time. But even like these TikTok, hey, this is a recipe I'm showing you. Look, we get that you want to feel cute in this, but all I'm seeing is your long red hair hanging over those mashed potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
So Ray Dan's on that same level for me.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
She does have some cute things, but
No. No.
like for me with it, if I find a hair in my food, if it's blonde, I can possibly eat it because then I can convince myself that it's my hair.
Nope.
But probably not.
Let me just tell you something.
Mm.
If my hair is in my food, I failed myself.
Mhm.
I will put my hair up.
Yeah.
I mean, people know this about me. Like you don't unload the dishwasher with your hair down in my kitchen. Like I get so grossed out.
Mhm.
But if there's hair in my food, it might as well be in a Ray Dan casserole dish.
Oh, I love it. That is so funny.
That's awful. I know.
No,
this was
it's
about
so
home.
funny.
What weird things you find in your home, and now we're like, oh, Ray Dan.
Pioneer woman people are cool too, though.
They are, and you know what? It's Oklahoma.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have some friends and family in Oklahoma, and I was speaking at a church
Mhm.
of just some of the most precious, amazing people. One of my lifelong friends is the women's ministry director there.
Mhm.
And she was like, do you like Ray Dan? Because we love Ray Dan. Like, I love, not Ray Dan, I'm sorry, Pioneer Woman. What's her name? Drew?
Ree Drummond.
Ree Drummond.
Ree Drummond, yeah.
I always want to say Dree Drummond. I don't know why I messed that up.
That's hilarious.
And they're like, do you like her? And I felt like all of a sudden we were in 3rd grade again.
yeah.
And
if you didn't
my
agree,
answer was going to
make or break.
determine where this whole thing was going.
Yeah.
And the truth is I do.
Mhm.
Like I've had a couple recipes from her that I'm like, that's great.
They are.
But then it's the
product.
It's the hair.
The
and
hair.
I can't.
Yeah.
And I feel like at the front of every cookbook, I will buy if you had a cookbook line
Mhm.
and it opened up with, before you get started, wash your hands and pull your hair up, I'm in.
Yeah.
I will buy stock in your company. I'm for that.
Yeah.
But no, like that. Anyway.
So I guess you don't do well at potluck, do you?
No.
Me
And
neither. That's a whole nother, that's a good idea for an episode.
Let me tell you.
Because being in line, do you know whose dish this is? Yeah, that's so-and-so's. Oh,
Okay,
not
I'll tell
eating
you
it.
my secret, and this will probably come up on another extra shot sometime. Years and years and years ago,
Mhm.
Our church was big into potlucks.
Mine
right?
too.
And I convinced the pastor's wife, who was in charge of this whole thing.
Uh-huh.
I told her, you know what? I bet a lot of people would love to know who makes what, so they could ask for
the
recipe. And
That's
she was
genius.
like, Amber, that is so smart. So she did this thing where people could bring recipe cards and set in front of it so you knew who it was from.
That is so genius.
And if I've not been in your kitchen, I'm not
eating it.
No,
I'm
and
not
that's not
eating
anything
it.
personal. I will pay for your dinner. Let's go out.
Because the moment I take a bite into something and I taste mothballs, like
Yeah, let's not even go there. But
no.
so she did that. And there was a lady in our church, precious woman, but she has like 13 cats. I knew.
Nobody ate any.
Her husband did because
Good.
he lives with those
He
cats.
lives with those cats.
He allows that.
Yeah.
So that's for another time and another, but
I'll put it on my kids' plates.
it builds their immune system.
Yes, they don't know. They're not.
Well, it builds their immune system, and that's, you let your kids play in the dirt,
and then
they never get sick.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, you're going to eat mothball cat lady's food because we want you to live long.
Well, I feel bad for her. She's only got one scoop out of it.
I don't. You know what? See, that's where you're nicer than me, because I'm like, when we cater to everybody's feelings all the time, they don't learn.
They don't learn.
And so why didn't anybody eat my broccoli and what is it broccoli and
rice cheese casserole?
Well, I like a good broccoli, but I'm talking about that. And let's top it off with Doritos.
Why?
Why did nobody eat the tuna surprise? Well, Kathy, no one ate your tuna surprise because you've got 13 cats.
Yeah.
And your hair,
your black shirt's got cat hair all over it.
And your hair is also hanging all off your clothes and out of the edge of the casserole dish.
Yeah.
Kathy, we love you. We love that we get to spend eternity in heaven with you. But Kathy, I'm glad that you don't get to make the food at the marriage supper of the lamb.
Yeah.
Harry, Kathy, That's so awful.
Funny.
Awful. Okay. Anyway,
that we got off on a tangent.
Welcome to my brain.
I love
That's where it goes.
I
okay.
love it.
Thank you, Katie, for being here today. And thank you guys for joining us for our extra shot. Please, if you're a Ray Dunn fan and you want to come at us, please, we love you. Don't. And then also, I think Katie gave us some really good advice on just decluttering. And I'm not putting my house on the market, so I'm not going to declutter. But there you have it.
There you have it.
And all the niches. Is it niche or niche?
That's what I want to know.
Niche.
I think I was saying niche. I don't know. Every time I say it, it's different.
Okay. This is weird, but I have a friend that he's so funny, but he has a little bit of a speech impediment. And that's how he says niece, because he can't say it. He goes, this is my nephew and my niche. And I'm like, oh. So there you go.
Okay.
He will hear this and he'll be like, thanks for calling me out, Amber.
Amber.
You're welcome. All right. You guys have an awesome day and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.